What's up, everyone? Out getting my morning sun, helping my metabolic system. I actually posted about that Good Energy book by Casey and Kelly Means. I think it's a really tremendous book, and I really recommend you guys read it. It does talk about the importance of getting sun. Honestly, I don't know why sun has been demonized. It's tremendous. Okay, so let's get down to it. I got an email this morning, like 20 minutes ago, that is the impetus for this Mental Monday, and it was great because I had a Mental Monday topic that was I was inspired, and I got this email. Actually, the email was from the co-author of my new book, Extreme Balance, which was so popular, they freaking ran out of copies. On day one, what were they thinking? Didn't they know we were going to sell more copies? You can still get the Audible version, and I believe the ebook on Amazon. Hey, leave us a review also. That would be much appreciated. Thank you so much. So my co-author, Joe DeCina, included me on a email thread from a few friends he was talking to about, they were calling it the it factor, right? Why someone ends up becoming great. And so I started reading through the email chain that they had been discussing. And, to me, it was talking about earlier qualities, because, if we want to know all the qualities that someone would need to be great, I think it's a laundry list. And, that's kind of like the book Extreme Balance actually talks about we have 8 separate chapters on different mindset topics that people need to find a balance on to become great. And so I thought the question was directed even earlier, though, or at least that was how I interpreted it, right? And I can tell you that I have identified these things in younger athletes, and I do think it's malleable, right? So some people think talent or success is inherent within someone. I think that's possible, right? It is possible someone possesses a lot of the traits, but I also think maybe, right? And I think when I think about the kids who came through my system, I think a lot of that would be impacted by the parents and how the parents treat them and how the parents talk to them and that type of thing, right? So in that case, it wouldn't have been inherent, right? Because their parents have been treating them a certain way since birth, which, by the time, say, they're 12, well, that's a lot of life. If you think about what could you accomplish in the next 12 years and how important is it how someone's been speaking to you for the last 12 years of life, you think, wow, if I had someone juicing me up and telling me I could be great for the last 12 years of my life, I'd probably be much more likely to think certain things about myself than if someone told me I sucked or I was no good or I wasn't capable for the last 12 years of my life. So we don't want to get into that innate, inherent discussion because people will get very upset about the talent discussion and what I think about it. Let me tell you what the 2 qualities I think are that I think help kids achieve greatness. And so, like I just mentioned, especially if you read, say, a book like The Talent Code, where talent hotspots are feasible, and so we're having one area disproportionately amount of people who are really, really, really highly skilled at something, and there's no way it would be spread out like that if it wasn't due to, right, the coaches or the system or something influencing that development in these athletes. So that's a plug. I already made plugs for 3 books. You guys, hopefully you're getting the picture. I love to read and try to learn. So I made a plug for Good Energy at the start of this, then my own book, Extreme Balance, and then The Talent Code, which is a fantastic book. Okay, so anyways, those 2 qualities, I know that's what you guys are waiting for. You're waiting for 2 qualities. Number 1, self-belief, which is borderline, and I may say fully, delusional. And so, I think about when I was reading about Muhammad Ali's books, when he was like a 12-year-old, he was saying, I'm going to be great. I'm going to be the greatest. And he was almost, some people say, speak it into existence. I know my buddy Truman McGee likes to say, speak it into existence. But then I reflect on my own journey, and I absolutely thought I could be great at wrestling when I wasn't even very good. Like, I think about the scope and the spectrum of wrestling, and now I coach kids, and I think, like, dude, I was thinking I could be an Olympian before I was even very good at wrestling. Like, I definitely wasn't, in the top 10 or 20 or 30 or probably not even the top 100 in the country at my weight class. And yet I was thinking I can go achieve these things, which it's fully delusional. Like, you think about all the people you've to jump, right? 'Cause there's all these people in front of you. Some of them probably also want to work hard. Some of them probably have great coaches, great situation, all these things, and yet I think I can jump them all. And I think that, when I think about the younger athletes, and actually, and I'll bring up one of the things that was said in the email chain, but younger athletes is, there's a lot of them who I have to talk into thinking they could even say go to state or win a state title. And there's some of them who I feel as though they think, well, why can't I go do that? Right? That to me, that is probably a lot of parental influence of saying, well, yeah, you can go do it. You're capable. Go get it. Right? Not treating them like, not treating them like they're babies and they can't do anything and they need protected, but no, go get it. Go do it. I know my dad and my mom treated me like that. My mom probably a little less than my dad, but she still did it for sure. And so that almost delusional self-belief that I can do this, right? Because, and when we go back to capability or competence, if you don't believe you can do something, if you genuinely in your heart of hearts think there's no way I can go do that, you're not going to try. Because if you can't do it, why would you try? Why would you put in effort for something that is impossible to you? And so, I'll tell you how that in wrestling, I see it as, some kids think, well, I could go to state, but I surely couldn't be D1. Or, yeah, I could probably go to college. I could probably walk on somewhere, but I surely couldn't get a scholarship, and I surely can't win a national title. And they for sure think these things, right? So some kids are, and we obviously try to encourage all kids that they can be as good as they want to be, but you see some kids come in and they work really, 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 really hard. And you see some kids, they'll put in a moderate level of work because essentially they've written themselves off to that higher level, right? And so I'm always trying to get rid of that block of saying, no, not the case, and so I love to try to point out. So, that post about Grant Stromberg went viral a few months ago for a guy who was JV, right? His first 2 years, and I think he just went something like 14-3 at Fargo, took third place around 12, was wrestling Division I. I mean, those jumps can absolutely be made, but the block has to be cleared in your mind. And those who clear the block the earliest, right? Those who clear the block when they can clear the block at ideally in the beginning, right? Ideally, since they're born, their parents telling them you can be great. You can be great if you do the right things. That's ideally what's happening. But the earlier they clear the block, the better. And then that's going to lead to then point number two. Point number two would be emotional maturity, right? So point number one is a self-belief that is that is delusional. I said borderline delusional earlier. I'm going to say fully delusional. Because I think of myself, this is true. A self-belief that is delusional, 100%. Okay, number two is emotional maturity. And so what emotional maturity means, and this is where if they can see the goal earlier, because if they can see the goal, generally they can make a decent guess at what that goal is going to take, right? It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice. So if they can see the goal earlier in life, they can start being emotionally mature. So what do I mean when I say emotional maturity? Well, I already told you being great at something is going to take many years of hard work to get there. And so, I see a lot of, we'll say 5th through 8th graders. They come in, a lot of them are playing grab ass, right? They are not highly engaged in practice. They're not putting in a huge amount of effort because they don't have the emotional maturity to say, I want to joke around with my friend right now. I don't want to play around. I want to tell him about what happened last week. I don't want to tell him about my video game. I want to do something else. I want to go get a drink. They don't have the emotional maturity to say, no, because I want to accomplish this goal that is many years off in the future, I am going to make the decision right now, in this very moment in time, to lock in, to work hard, because if I can have the emotional maturity to lock in and work hard, it is going to start putting building blocks, right? You think about building bricks. Our metaphor, AWA, look right there. A metaphor is a mountain. Right? You don't climb a mountain in one step. You don't jump to the top of the mountain. You got to climb the freaking mountain one step at a time. And, I would think that that's representative of all these practices you're going to do. And the more good practices you have, right, you make a little progress up the mountain. It's funny. I should make shadow puppets for you guys. This is distracting me so much. I can't stop. right? But, if you have a productive practice, you make progress up the mountain. If you have an unproductive practice, you likely stay where you're at, or, obviously if it's unproductive enough for a long enough time, you may go back down the mountain. But in order to get to the top of the mountain, it's going to be many, many years of progress, of great practice stacked on top of great practice, stacked on top of great practice, which means regardless of how you're feeling emotionally, right? Whether you don't want to be there, you want to do something fun with your friends, you want to play that day, you don't want to work really hard. We all know what that feels like. There's some days I get on the damn exercise bike and I feel like, oh man, I just want to kind of pedal around, and it's like, no, I got to lock in. I got to set a goal for myself, and I got to get better because, right, I want to grind one out. I want to work hard. Or the same thing with practice, right? Maybe I'd rather go into practice and tell some jokes to be funny, but it's like, no, I need to lock in because I need to let them know I'm locked in, and they need to lock in, and then we need to accomplish something, right? So it takes a lot of emotional maturity to put aside whatever it is that you want to do at that moment in time, right? And I was saying, even joking around practice, but I could go even worse, right? With some high school kids, and we actually have a lot that are like this, thank God. But I know these kids, because like they might not even show up to practice, right? They might skip practice because they want to go hang out with the girlfriend, or right, they want to go to a movie, or they want to go out on the lake, or right. That's obviously the opposite end. Like, I'm doing what I want right now, regardless of what it's going to do to my future prospects of achieving these goals I have in my mind, right? So remember, point one is this is delusional self-belief that you can achieve really, really great things. And then because of that, if you can have the emotional maturity, so you need both, right? Because if you have number one, but you don't have number two, you're never going to take enough actions to go achieve that thing. And it's really, really hard to have number two without number one. It's possible, just unlikely. But number two is the emotional maturity to lock in even when you don't feel like it. And for all of us, for every one of us, there's going to be those days. Ideally, we choose things that we're passionate about, and we get passionate about chasing our goals and our dreams. But for sure, there's still going to be those days where we don't really want to work that hard, or we want to go do something else, or whatever it is. And you make the decision to lock in, to get better, and to take some steps, right? Take some little baby steps up the mountain towards your goals. Okay. I had a rather uninspiring Mental Monday, but thanks, Joe, for sending me an email this morning, because this is a topic I'm hugely passionate about. I think all of you should try to inspire your kids to tell them they can achieve greatness. It's not going to be given to them. It's not going to be easy. If they want to work for it, they can go get it. And if they want to go get it, they got to start getting emotionally mature from a younger age, start stacking good practices on top of each other, start stacking good habits on top of each other, and through time, they can build themselves up to achieve really, really great things. All right, that's all I got. Go buy the book, Extreme Balance. I also got the All-In Journal out. I think that's a great one to force yourself to write in every single day. And, as you think about it, right, it's not like I just out of sight, out of mind. I don't think about my goals and my dreams. If I force myself to write in every single day, I'm locking in and thinking about what those goals are and how I'm going to put the time in all the time, right? We're going to lock ourselves into doing the work necessary to achieve what we want, emotional maturity again. All right, I swear, I'm gone now. Buy the book, Extreme Balance. Check out All-In Journal. I'm out of here. Peace.